Metalheads Unit, welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown, and today we're looking at the latest album from August Burns Red entitled Guardians. So a little behind the scenes info for you guys. If I've selected an album to review on the Metal Meltdown, it's not simply because I think it's good or bad. It usually just means that I have invested a lot of time into the record already. It means that I've studied the band, their background, their influences. It means that I've studied the album and how it was made, why it was made, if it's trying to communicate anything other than simply delivering some solid music, if it was influenced by anything politically or socially or emotionally. And of course, obviously, I've also listened to the record, but I haven't just listened to it once or twice. I've usually listened to it about 3 times. The first listen is usually nothing more than my raw, unprocessed thoughts, reactions, and emotions towards the record. The second listen is where I try to analyze things a little more, try and see all the puzzle pieces, and start to put some of them together myself. And the third listen is there for me to make sure that I actually know what I'm talking about, that I really thought about everything I want to say and how I want to say it. So that way, when I press record, I can give you an album review and not just me going, "This is fucking brutal, man," for 7 or 8 minutes. And the reason I tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, is because Guardians is one of the only times on the Metal Meltdown where I have had almost no desire or ambition to stick to my normal process. Not that I didn't do my research, mind you. I still did. I know that August Burns Red are a Grammy Award-nominated American metalcore band that have been kicking around for at least 20 years now. And not that I didn't do my research on this particular record. I know that it's their 9th studio album and their first following the incredibly successful Phantom Anthem, an album that many celebrate as the best album of their career. And not to imply that I didn't listen to the album multiple times, because I still did. I still did all of those things. But it was kind of challenging to do all that this time around. And to be honest, this time around, the main reason I re-listened to the album was not so much so I could take all the puzzle pieces and try and fit them together in a satisfying way for myself, but rather because I simply needed to jog my memory. And I had to do this because Guardians, despite its best intentions, despite the incredible talent and passion that August Burns Red still bring to the table after all these years, just kind of did nothing for me. I mean, it started off strong, don't get me wrong. There were some great arrangements, some great guitar parts, some great melodies. I loved how everything was so intertwined and interconnected, and it felt like this big, massive, epic piece. I like the passion, I like the determination, and there's no arguing that August Burns Red, from a purely technical standpoint, are miles ahead of most of their peers in the metalcore genre. And yet, about halfway through this album, Guardians just completely lost me. And no matter how hard I tried to get back into it on multiple lessons, it just didn't work. Does this mean the band has hit a rough patch? Realistically, no, probably not. They seem as passionate and confident and determined as ever, and early reviews from fans and other critics tells me that this is very likely going to be one of the year's biggest records. And yet here I am, struggling to pinpoint significant moments off of the record without some kind of literal visual aid beneath me on this desk that you hear me tapping. I need notes, because I'm struggling here. I can normally just kind of rant and rave about this album and I can stitch it together in editing, but I can't do that. While I don't think this is an objectively bad record on any level whatsoever, I do think that part of the reason why this album has failed to resonate with me is that August Burns Red have finally been crippled by their reliance on the metalcore formula. A formula that they've been able to manipulate and twist and turn over the years on many of their records, but just not Guardians. At least that's how I feel. There were a lot of really dry and stale breakdowns on this record for me. There were a lot of really generic, cliche, post-hardcore, metalcore lyrics on this record for me. A lot of the choruses didn't really resonate with me. A lot of the patterns and song structures started to feel really formulaic and predictable as the album moved on. And on my second and third listens, the entire second half of this record eventually bleeded together into one big, fat, generic American metalcore mess. It didn't really feel like I was listening to an album anymore. Instead, it just kind of felt like I was walking through the festival grounds at Warped Tour, listening to all these metalcore bands play on top of each other. Honestly, if I had felt the whole album was going to be like this, I probably would have just saved this for an Albums I Missed video, or ignored it altogether, but thankfully, the first half of this record does make up where the second half fails. The songs feel a little bit more lively, a little bit more intense, a little bit more creative for that matter, while still adhering to the classic American metalcore sound that I think many fans are expecting, demanding from August Burns Red at this point. Opening track The Narrative in particular is one of the best examples of all of this, acting as this shape-shifting, unpredictable metalcore monster with wailing guitars, crippling, crunchy breakdowns, and some ferocious in-your-face vocals. This track individually is such an enjoyable roller coaster that you could probably release it all by itself and I wouldn't give a shit. Hell, I'd give it like a 4.5 out of 5. Following track Bones is cool too. I like some of the subtle progressive guitar work. I like how massive that chorus is. It is definitely something that fans are going to be singing along to. And I like the track Defender too, especially in the lyrics. It has this really spiteful and miserable attitude to it that makes it feel all the more empowering once you really start to sink your teeth into it. But as time goes on, the band is simply losing momentum, steam, and creativity. Suddenly the blueprint is left raw and exposed for everyone to see, and I'm able to pinpoint nearly everything that's happening in a song before it happens. The same metalcore stereotypes and cliches that the band was previously able to manipulate to their advantage suddenly present themselves as exactly that, metalcore stereotypes and cliches. It eventually sounds and feels like August Burns Red doing a competent but forgettable emulation of themselves. It got to the point on my last listen where I began skipping through a good chunk of the final tracks on this album, excluding closing track 3 Fountains, which I will admit is probably the strongest number on the second half of this record, closing the entire thing off on a triumphant note similar to that of the Narrative's opening. But let's be honest here, any album where you have to skip through almost half the tracks to get to one really great track is kind of a bad album. Like, put it this way, if we were in school and this was a math test, you'd be shitting yourself in fear if you had to skip over that many questions. I'm unfortunately going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. I'd like to be a lot more enthusiastic with this, especially since I've really enjoyed the band's last 2 or 3 records. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I love this album just because I've enjoyed previous works from them. It would be incredibly disingenuous of me to do so. I have a feeling I'm probably going to be in the minority on this one. In fact, I'd even wager that this is probably going to be one of the most negative reviews for this particular album. And truthfully, if that is the case, then I couldn't possibly be happier, because even despite my issues with this record, August Burns Red still have a lot more to offer to the metalcore scene than 90% of metalcore bands out there. They're still playing strong, they're still playing hard, and while they may have fallen for me on this particular record, I am extremely confident that they will pick themselves back up. Would I recommend this to naysayers? Probably not. But I don't see any reason why the August Burns Red fan base would not be in love with this record. And with that in mind, if you love metalcore and post-hardcore but happen to be unfamiliar with August Burns Red and you're looking for something a little bit more challenging, you can't go wrong with this record. I mean, I'd personally recommend Phantom Anthem over this, but I guess you can't really go wrong with this record, again, in comparison to so much of the shitty metalcore that's out there. 2.5 out of 5. I tried, but ultimately this is nothing more than an okay record for me. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right there so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.